My name is Kwame Bediako. I'm 33. I'm from Ghana. I realized that there was more I could do, so I started investing more money in architecture again, and I wanted to do bigger things. You know, I started from 2 houses, then I went to 4 houses, then I went to 8 houses. So I wanted to do something much more bigger. That's when I ventured Avenue Lincoln. Avenue Lincoln, it's a very interesting project. I wanted to break the market, first of all. My project before that was just 2 floors and it was just residential. I studied the market. I realized that Ghana had a lot of potential when it comes to real estate because there was high demand for it. And for that reason, I wanted to do more like a gated community, but at the same time, I didn't want to do 2 floors where the buildings would just all purposely be there for residential. So I put 3 architects together for the first time, and I wanted to have 3 concepts coming into one. So I said to the other guy that, look, I want a townhouse that looks like an office block, and I want it times 16. And I told the other guy that I want a townhouse that looks like an apartment, which is the other architect. And the third one was more like the guy who was going to do the 3D renderings of Avenue Lincoln. And that's the guy I told that, look, I want the look of an apartment, I want the look of a townhouse, and I want the look of an office block all in one. And by the time I finished with the 3 architects, what they had done for me is that they had got just a square box house with a glass at the front and a glass on the side, which says L. And I normally just pick a letter to design my homes. The previous house I had was just a designer that I was inspired by their sign, which was just M, a visu. And I used that to build the roof, which was the curved roof. You know, and these homes were very different, very special too, and it doesn't go out of fashion. So this time I'm using L to build something that would give me a long-lasting look. That was what the L was for. And I will use this L times 16 in the compound. I didn't know that I was going to also break some barriers like the market. I didn't know I was about to have everybody building 3 floors now, because the market was only building 2 floors. I mean, even in America, in England, everybody builds a home and it's 2 floors. So I was the guy that actually took the risk of investing more money into a foundation of 1 building and going from 1, 2 to 3. That's just for a house. So basically, when you look at Avenue Lincoln, it's just like a townhouse. You feel like maybe it's 2 or 3 or 4 apartments in the building, but it's just 1 house. And when you're in a house, it feels like a mansion because you have to climb 3 stairs to be able to tour the whole house. Now I realized that people started building 3 floors. From Taysec, the existing companies who were already in Ghana that were far ahead of me, Desimoni, Taysec, and all the other people started building 3-floor townhouses. And even the other new people who are coming in the game. I want people to have these homes and be able to use it purposely for their office spaces, for their living spaces, and worst scenario, if they have to be out of the country and they quickly want to short-let the building for both purposes, they will have the option. There were a lot more apartments in town, in airport especially, and people were not renting it. So I did my research, studied the market, and I realized that they are building 3 bedrooms for expats. And most of these expats are either come to Ghana alone, looking for the opportunity to come here and live here. So they'll probably want to live a year, spend a year of their life here working to see what it's like, which means people were looking for 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, more than 3 bedrooms, because 3 bedrooms is basically for families. And I also realized that the Ghanaians themselves couldn't afford to buy 3-bedroom apartments in these areas, not unless someone had money and they wanted to invest and rent, which is very rare. It's a few of them, which means the market was really there for the expats. So I quickly got in touch with one of the best architects in South Africa called Stoch Foster, and they were charging me like close to $500,000 to do a design for me on one of my lands, which was just half an acre. But I told my manager thought it was expensive, and I said, no, let's go ahead and do it, because I think that we can only put 18 apartments on this if we're going to do this. But these guys, we are telling them to do us up to 40 apartments of studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms, basically, and only 3 bedrooms in Qualis. So we decided that yes, they should go ahead and give us a concept. It came back with a concept with 43 apartments. So that's how Qualis came up. Welcome to Qualis. Qualis is actually my mother's name, and I just thought that I would just let you see how efficient we are, the sort of people that we work with, and how quick we put our buildings. Come in, and I'll take you inside to see. This is 10 floors building. It's the first time that I'm actually using these contractors. I brought them from Portugal, And it's also the first time that I brought people that would do finishing from Spain and from Germany. You know, I just wanted to cut out from the whole Asia era of development and go back into the European style.
My name is Thomas. I'm a German engineer and specialist for construction, and I'm doing the project management here at Kwame's to help reaching a very high level of quality.
It's basically the underground car park, which is gonna have like maybe 50 cars parked here, up the entire development. So this is where people will access to get into the building. And this is where there's gonna be the coffee shop, this is where there's gonna be laundry and reception and all that. I bought this land because I wanted to sort of give my competitors more competition. I wanted to create more competition for them. So I'm right opposite you. This is your development, this is my development. I just want you to see how we're both growing in the market. And that's what I like to do. I like to create competition. So I don't like to fall into it. I like to create it and be ahead of the game. This project started 7 months ago. Another 7 to 8 months, we will finish everything. This is where the swimming pool is. It's like 1 floor high from the basement. So I kind of like it. So I'm sure the people in Villaggio, the people all with heights in Talo and all the other places will see the people in this apartment enjoying. Qualis is there to provide a home for a young entrepreneur, for an expat, for someone who has just begun life, or for a rich man's son or daughter who wants to live in a prime area. So it's more open. It's not like a huge block of apartments full of 3 bedrooms. Besides the categorization that suits all sort of odds, there is also something that I have introduced in Ghana again, making sure that it's a turnkey project. So for the first time, Qualis is the only project in Ghana that you walk in with just your clothes if you buy. You don't bring in TV, you don't bring in fridge, you don't bring in washing machine, nothing. You turn the key, you're inside, you're leaving. I think after it's finished, which somewhere in this year, Ghanaians are going to begin to realize that it's not about what they want to build for people to buy. It's about what people are looking for. And that's what they need to build for them to be able to attract that sort of client. And it's different, basically.
Now we are casting the 7th floor.
And after?
8th.
8th. So it's 1, 2, 3 floor for the penthouse?
The duplex is the 3rd and 4th floor.
Okay.
And the last floor, the 8th floor, is for equipment, for some pumps, I don't know, but
okay.
It's not for
it's
houses.
not for houses.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And the roof?
Is in the structure
of the 8th floor.
8th floor.
Is it in the 8th floor structure? Okay. Okay, that's good. And when do we finish?
Maybe 1 month.
1 month. We like to just buy lands in the prime areas, very, very careful of the position, the location, and then we situate an exclusive building and leave a trademark there. That's what we do, Wonder World. It's about building houses that are bespoke to suit the area, to suit the people that live within the area, the people that want to live in the area. So the good thing about this project is that it starts from studio apartments all the way to penthouses. So people who have money from $200 and something thousand to $1 million and something dollars would have the opportunity to live in this area. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make sure that I create space for and room for within mid-income, slightly below mid, and upscale, all in one place. The change is going to be enormous. People are going to see it. It will be a clear view of what it is, you know, glass front, all glass building, you know, fully furnished, you know, having receptionists, management, laundry, coffee shops, meeting rooms, penthouses, you know, underground car park, security, full cameras, you know, it has it all. It has the whole package. And I think it's more important for us to make sure that the aim, the purpose is achieved and is suitable for the client. We're on the 7th level, so there's going to be 3 more levels up. In this business, I am the smallest, but when it comes to building, I'm becoming the tallest, as you can. Construction is a very hard work to do, and I don't like to do the hard work. I like to do the hard thinking, who makes it go fast, and that's the sort of people that I brought around to do this. Once they finish the structure, I bring in people from Germany, people from Spain, and they do the finishing. So in the next 6 to 7 months, you're going to see this whole building with glass and everything, and you know, the same view that we're getting now, we're going to get it. It's just that we'll be more protected in a nicer area and more of a posh area. This is what I do. I sell lifestyle, but I sell quality, not just quantity. Although I'm doing, this is 43 apartments, we have 22 apartments coming up, meaning that in a year to 2 years, we push up to 100 apartments. It's quite a lot. We're making a change in society, you know, by accommodating people, making sure that they have something within the affordable range, all the way to upscale, high-end living. But at the same time, we're making sure that it's the European standard, it's the Western standard, selling the right environment to people, selling the right lifestyle to people. And that's what I do. Wonda World. We started a new project in Cantonments, which is also one of the biggest, best and prime areas in Ghana. The land cost us a fortune. It's very little, but this time I decided to put 22 apartments. Yes, it's an area that I could have done more, but I just wanted 22. That was the figure in my head, that 22, it's the cap for me. This is an area that it's on the main road, it's just after AU Village, and when I studied the area, I did the key study about the whole area, I realized that 20 or 22 people coming out of this place is reasonable. And if I go above it, it will be crowded. And I didn't want to do something nice that becomes overcrowded, because my developments are quiet. You could see that it's actually separated, it's secluded, it's in its own shell. You feel the aim, you can see our image as Wonda World. You know, we're in a shell. When you walk in, like you see in Avenue Lincoln, it's like you're in a small city. You know, you have your roads, you have everything, and that's how I design my buildings, my development. That's how I think around it. So I haven't got a name for Cantonments yet. I don't know what name to call it, but the building is wine. It's like bloody red. The walls are bloody red with just wooden gates. It has a historical view, and you get this museum feel, because you don't see what is actually in the building until you enter. And then the side of it is all glass, but the front of it is all concrete. You know, and you have a courtyard, but when you're actually in the rooms, it's like a glass house, because the glass are from the ceiling to the floor. So this is well detailed. You know, these are international architects in the world that I used for all my designs now, and I think that is going to be a big breakthrough for the people who have been doing things in Cantonment for the first time. They're going to see, you know, a 1-bedroom apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, and penthouses with swimming pool at the rooftop. security again, which is one of my core issues, making sure that security is always number one. You don't have any issue when you go into your house or your apartment. And that's Cantonment. It's a good project. I'm really looking forward to finish it. These are my contractors. This one is Carlos, and this is Palo. Palo is my man. Palo is my man. Carlos is my man too. So these are the people I'm going to raise a lot of buildings with. These are the contractors. So Sam and Dana. Yeah. Nice. Tomorrow we start this. Okay? No problem. Everything is fine. Okay? We have 14 floors coming up on the Osu Main Road, Oxford Street, which is a very interesting project. For the first time, I have people like David Ajay who are going to do the designs. This is the same guy who is doing my urban planning for Petronius, but David is doing the actual 14 floors on the high road. There's no building that high, first of all. And the car park is 2 floors below, underground. And then first 2 floors is also commercial, which would be like a mat, sauna, gym, pool, cafe, a living area. At the top is a lounge, and it's from one road to the other road. So it's a very interesting project, this Osu project, which is coming up very soon. We start somewhere this year. This is the Osu project, something that I think is going to change the skyline of Accra. This is Oxford Street, the famous street in Ghana, the most famous street in Ghana. Opposite is Kuala, Dwajewa House, and so forth. There are a lot of buildings on this road. But this is our project, Wonda World, and obviously it's going to be the first building our first tallest building, basically. And this penthouses here is you can see the beach from here. You can obviously see the whole of Accra, which makes it a very interesting project. It's going to be studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and that's it really. And it's going to be more like a hotel, suite apartments, or service apartments, and things that people that will come to Accra that will want to tour Accra, basically for tourists, for locals, for expats, for all sort of people. And that's what the project is about. I've always been interested in doing something in front of the sea. And when I look at places like Monte Carlo and all these places, Monaco, I'm inspired by the development. It's like it's not going anywhere. They're just right in front of the sea, and they have everything, and people they just want to go there. They just want to be a part of it. And it's not because of the name, it's because of the development. So I have about 6 acres that I bought maybe 6 years ago, just right in front of the beach. And I thank God for giving me the strength and the funds to be able to acquire that land at that time, because I'm right next to Labadi Beach Hotel. And I realized that, wow, every single hotel on this road is facing the road, and their back is facing the beach. And it's supposed to be the other way around. It has to be a beachfront development. So I realized that I had a very good opportunity to introduce this the first time in Ghana. People seeing a real development that is in front of the beach, and that is also going to inspire me to even introduce things like sea defense and all that, and introduce marina and all this stuff. Adding value to the country is very important to me, because that value that I add to the country comes back to me as a heritage value in terms of wealth. So I'm very interested in starting the Petronius Towers, which is going to be our beachfront development. It's huge. We're currently talking to 6 different architects about it. Australian, an American architect, a Japanese architect who is based in America that has done some designs that we're very interested. They built a mini city on 7 acres with about 200 apartments, mini mall, townhouses, office spaces, auditorium, everything. And that's the sort of concept that we're looking for, just to make that place become Ghana's #1 address. I've realized that there are young people who are coming up that are obviously, they're going to be looking for studio apartments, they're going to look for 1-bedroom apartments, they're going to look for apartments. You have people who come into the country that obviously they spend a lot of money in the hotels. You have to pay $300 a day. So 10 days is $3,000. And 1 month is $9,000. I am about to break into the hotel market. I am the new nightmare for these hotels because I've studied their market and I've realized that they've got 72% of the market. Now what do I do as a developer? I have to get into it. I'm tapping into at least 10 to 20% of their market. And by doing that, I have to make sure within the surface of the prime areas in Accra, I will have over 200 rooms, which are all designed as studios and suites. So that's the phase that we're about to go into. Wonder World is about to go into the apartment suites. I wanted to get into the oil and gas industry. My brother already, who is doing very well in the oil and gas industry, sells and trades oil. Obviously, I can't do that because that would be a conflict of interest. And I acquired a license for more upstream. The upstream was to do with exploration, transportation, and development. So the exploration was by companies like Talu, E&I, Hertz, and all this, and they spend billions to explore. And the second thing was transportation, which is logistics. I couldn't see myself doing that because I don't have any experience. But the third one, development, I definitely knew that I could do something with development because I have already decided and started developing Accra. The name Petronia, I put it together because I was looking for a name for a city that also serves a purpose for oil and gas and maybe mining, which I needed to use the name Petro because it came from oil, the most demanded product. So I added the NIA, N-I-A, to it to make it a city, because when you hear Cali, instead of cauliflower, it's California, and that's a city. You hear Virginia. Petronia is just supposed to signify to people that it's a city, Petronia. But I'll find out a year later that it's the name of a bird that I used to feed.
Petronius City for me is an opportunity to be a part of a revolutionary project in Ghana.
Ghana just wasn't prepared to meet the demands of those coming in to do oil and gas exploration. And so that's what Petronius City is here to do. It's here to fill that gap.
For me, it represents something new, something fresh, something dynamic, something that is going to change the way people look at Africa and the way they think about Africa in terms of development.
People are going to see this project as the new face of Africa. And for me, it's exciting to be a part of this team that's building something sustainable that's going to have such a long-term impact on the continent.
This is a city that is 2,000 acres. The first thing that I thought of was, what is it that is not here? Let's put everything in one place. So I decided to build a prototype of the city, which is just for 300 families. So it's like a 4-star hotel, a mall, a commercial strip, 25 villas, and 140 apartments. This goes on just 50 acres, which is less than 5% of the entire parcel. The second phase of it is Energy City. Today, everything is based on energy, whether it's green energy, solar energy, water energy, whatever energy it is. But how come the country is not actually taking these things serious and having a hub or building a hub that controls the assets that come from these things? For the first time, all the oil companies who are coming into the country, mining companies who are coming into the country from other countries to my country, would be complemented with this sort of development and have a place to live. There will be an infrastructure which is going to consolidate all the governmental institutions like ECG, VRA, Grid, Ghana Gas, like GMPC, Talos, and all these companies, both the oil companies, governmental institutions, and service companies, and all this, you know, you're going to start moving them into one place. And that's what Petronia is going to be doing. When I realized that the Energy City is going to work good, I needed something that would also take care of these people when they get under this umbrella, and that was a golf city. So, you know, I've put like 200 and something acres just for a golf city, and around the golf course, which is world-class championship, that is the standard. Around the golf course is surrounded with villas, apartments, commercial buildings, hotels, boutique hotels, malls and stuff like that.
We've had feasibility studies done. We definitely know that there's a demand for this from the oil, the gas, the mining sectors, financial sectors, and even government. And one thing that Petronius City will allow is for other companies to come in and to develop and build. There is going to be an industrial area where there can be processing. So the potential for Ghanaians as a whole is great in the jobs that it can create and also the wealth that it can help to create for Africa, so that we retain some of that wealth inside as opposed to always having, all our natural resources extracted and not benefit from them.
Ultimately, we're building a wealth of resources, knowledge, experience, and partnerships that can then go on to develop similar projects in other parts of the world where there are opportunities to support economic growth.
If you look around Africa, there has not been many projects like Petronia. Petronia is one of a kind. Petronia is not just revolutionizing Ghana, it's going to revolutionize the world. It's going to make the world stop and look at how Africa as a whole does things.
It took me more than 67 people together of families and about 12 chiefs to purchase that land, 1,500 acres. But it was 2,000 acres, but we have 1,500 acres registered now. It also took me 7 days of Google Earth search to see the biggest portion of land that is together in Takoradi. One thing that I'm actually proud of myself with is not me buying the land to start the city, but it's me being able to socialize and relate to those sort of people in that kind of village, in that kind of area of the world, and bringing them together so they can understand me and I can understand them and purchase it. I realized that there is something I can do in society with Petronia. So Petronia is something that it's my heart. It's my everything.
Potentially, I think Petronius City will be a very good framework for future African cities, because not only are we considering the individual buildings, as most cities in Africa currently are, but we're really considering everything that has to do with proper city planning, infrastructure, energy, and the rest. So it's really a good project for the future of Africa and Ghana.
Maybe I don't have the words now to describe what Petronia will become, but as we develop it, people will see and be part of that dream.
I know that when the city kicks off, it's not only going to change the country, but it's also going to change the continent.